All right, so welcome back to the second episode of the Kickback with Jack podcast. Today I'm joined by grappler Lewis Florez. How are you, mate?
G'day. Good, how are you?
Going well, mate, going well.
That's
So
good.
what have you been up to recently?
Just training every day, just grappling as you said. But yeah, just been really grinding the grappling scene. As in last year, I done lots of events, just heaps of fusions, heaps of combat Jiu Jitsu, done an MMA fight, and just lots of local tournaments. And 4 hours like Adelaide, Melbourne drives. This year, just done the AGL, the first ever Australian grappling league, which Jesse Hughes just made, and it was honestly the funnest one I've done so far. The sickest rule set, like it's only just submissions, 4 minutes, and then again you have a minute break. The next one's 4 minutes, and if it's a draw, then you just go to sudden death, and whoever gets the first point wins. But there's always submissions in there, and it's just honestly sick.
Yeah, that's sick because I imagine there wouldn't be that many of the sub-only competitions out there, really.
No, there's not really. So there's M16, which I'm going on in 2 weeks' time as well. That's submission only, but then at the end, last 3 minutes, there's points at the end. But it's still awesome.
So how'd you go in the was it Australian Grappling Tournament or Australian Grappling League?
Australian Grappling League, yeah.
Yep.
So it went all right. So done the absolute division. Out of 17 people came fourth. Got a few submissions in there. Got a rolling knee bar, which was pretty fun. Got a just guillotine from mount, and I got a straight ankle lock just from jumping from his guard into the submission. So I came
Yeah,
fourth
so
in that, and then for my weight division rank, I came second. So the bloke I rolling knee barred actually beat me in my weight division in the next fight. So he got a heel hook on me for the finals. I'm like, oh, damn it. But done pretty well. Got second in my weight division. So was pretty happy with that, and all turned out all good. The day was awesome. So, yeah.
no, awesome. We'll talk to me a little bit about how you got into jiu-jitsu. I know you've been doing it for a while, so talk to me about that.
Yeah. So it's a funny story. I always say it. So people think there's always like a deep story with it, but mine's not that deep. So my brother's friend was into wrestling, like WWE, and then that got my brother into WWE, and then they finally found this MMA like wrestling gym in the local area. So he went and gone and done it, my brother's friend, and then he got my brother into it. And I'm the younger brother, so I'm like, oh, I'm just going to follow my brother and go and give it a go. So I went, done it, and I've just loved it ever since. So that's honestly why I started doing it. But then I really just enjoyed it and just kept going and going. And I've done it since I was 8 years old, like karate, and then got into the jiu-jitsu scene more when I was 16, I reckon. Like really dug my heels into it and just went from there.
And do you ever sort of bust out a WWE move, pile
Oh,
driving or
sometimes,
619, put it through the ropes?
sometimes when I feel like it, yeah.
No, that's good. So you said you've been sort of, tackling a bunch of different comps. The one you've got coming up is M16. So
Yeah.
for people who don't know, what's that all about?
So M16, it is just versing. So it's one opponent only, and it's just a weight category. So I'm actually in the 84 category, versing him at 84 kilos. And there's the undercard. So there's multiple fights. It's different for them. So it's a 6 minute, I believe 6 minute or 7 minute round, and they just for the first 3 minutes there's no scoring, it's just submission only, and then for the last 3 minutes I believe there's scoring. So if you get back mount, get a pass, takedown, there's points. And for the main card it's only a minute longer, but there's 4 minutes of submission only, and then again after that time you can start getting points and win from that. But obviously you're aiming for the submission. That's what makes the show exciting, like going for the submission, jumping for things, and yeah, getting subs.
And I've seen as well the setup's pretty cool. Like you've got the mat in the middle and everyone around. What's that like competing? Because I know you've competed in it before.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So they've actually just changed the arena again,
Oh,
but
really?
it's all the same. When you compete, everything's the same. Like everything's just, you don't see anything around you. You just see your opponent, the mat, and you just like you go at it. But you can hear them. Obviously, the atmosphere is awesome. Everyone's just screaming for when you're close to a sub or when you just do something like out there. They're just like, yeah, cheer you on, and yeah, it's awesome.
So what do you know about your fella that you're competing against?
So he's a heavy wrestler. So he's a fly-in, fly-out worker, so he doesn't train as much as me. So that's my advantage there, but I'm still, taking it as serious as I can. But yeah, he's from M16, like the gym M16, and M16 Open hosts it. So he's from that gym there, brown belt, and yeah, he's a big solid boy. So I might have to play some leg locks on him.
You're good on the scrambles, don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
So, without giving too much away, do you? All right, I want to ask you that because I don't want to give too much away. But
Yeah.
how do you typically approach a match?
So I start wrestling, as I said, like I'm always the wrestler, but he is honestly, a bit jacked, big boy. So I just wrestle with him. I just go with the flow and then feel when the takedown's there, go for it. But we'll see if I try some jumping stuff or pull guard, what's going to happen. I've never pulled guard, so it might be different. Who knows what I'll do?
No, that's good, mate. And how's your jiu-jitsu changed recently? It sort of seems like, from the videos I've seen of you and, even since we used to train together, it seems like it's just elevated. What are you sort of implementing into your game
No.
to advance?
Perfect. No, thank you. So I've really just been like deep diving into more legs. Like I loved legs, but like I've just been deep diving into legs, traveling to Adelaide, Melbourne, training with people, learning off high level coaches, just more leg locks. Really studying it as much as I can. Coming back, trying to teach people it, which makes me remember it more. Like when you teach, you just remember more things. Just keeping the top pressure and just getting heavier, going to the gym, just like keeping more top pressure there. Because I bulked up a bit. I've gotten a bit fat, but that's all right,
Well, that sort of leads on to one of my questions that I had a bit later for you, which is, I've seen you've been going to the gym a lot. How do you sort of balance weightlifting with jiu-jitsu? How many times a week should you weightlift versus how many times a week should you be doing jiu-jitsu?
I'm no scientist. I just go every day.
Everyday gym and everyday jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. And then Sundays, Sundays, I'd probably rest, but sometimes I just do what I can. I'm young, so my body heals.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's true. And are you doing like full body each day, or are you doing splits? Or
Split. So it's like it can be upper, just lower, or it's a bit of both. And then sometimes it's just cardio. So it's just whatever's there. I just do what I do, and I just do jiu-jitsu and try to learn more things.
nah, awesome, mate. And you mentioned before leg locking. How
Yeah.
important do you think locking is as you get into those high belts? Like you're a brown belt. Do you
Yeah.
think it's essential?
It is very essential. Even white belts are doing it now. Even though they can do, the funny thing is they can do the entries. They just can't do rotation, but they can still do the entries into the straight ankle locks, which is, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's essential just to learn from an early belt as well. Obviously get the fundamentals, but I literally been seeing blue belts even just hitting some crazy leg locks now, and it's just insane, but very essential. Like it's what I need to work on the most. It's my thing, my goal, to get more leg locks, more knowledge.
And in terms of entries to a leg lock, what are you sort of working on?
I like to enter into the saddle. So the saddle is like one of the top positions, I reckon. Get into the saddle, and then there's plenty of things from there. You can get heel hooks, toe holds, the clover leaf. You can get 411s. There's a Z lock. There's multiple things there. But I just step back into the saddle. So I just step in between their feet, sit back, and it's pretty simple to get into. Obviously, like if you step between their feet, but they can defend it. But that's most likely what I like to do.
And you're typically doing that from the top, right? Like
Top
as you said, you
position.
wrestle.
Yeah.
Because that sub you got on the weekend, right? You dropped back onto the leg from the top.
Sorry.
That sub you got on the weekend, you were were you in half guard, or then you dropped back?
Oh, for the knee bar. Sorry.
Was it straight ankle that you got on one of them?
Oh, the straight ankle. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. No, I was on the top. Yep. So I'm just there. I literally, his legs just hanging kind of near my armpit. So I just jump, get a outside ashy, but I don't get my foot over the hip. I just get the outside ashy, put it on, but then he defended that. So I just jumped straight to the other one, outside ashy on the other side, and ripped it on and got it. But from the top I start and I get it from there.
And talk to me about that knee bar as well. That was pretty epic, rolling.
That knee bar, it was just naturally, I enjoyed it myself, but it was just natural reaction, as like I wasn't drilling it at all. It's just what I do at training. Like I always let people like try and take my back, and I just do it. I just do the Granby roll into the knee bar or try to get a leg, and that one was just perfect. Like I went for I had him on top. I was on top of him. He was turtling. He went for a double leg, and he was chasing my back. He was chasing it. So I let him kind of grab my back, and I just done the Granby forward roll, and the leg. I just get my leg between his two legs, and it's like entering the saddle from that position there. But the leg was just perfect in between my legs. Grabbed it, hooked it, and just put it on. I just was, holding on for dear life, and then he's just tapped. I'm like, that was awesome.
That's sweet. And yeah, you said you're focusing on jiu-jitsu coming forward this year. Is there anything in particular you're focusing on in terms of matches? Like I know you've had a combat jiu-jitsu match, you've had M16. Like, is there anything in particular focusing on?
No, I just go with whoever asks me to fight. Like, honestly, I don't focus on one thing. I do any comps that ask me. If I see a comp that I like, I'll just go for it. Like, that's just what I do.
And do you reckon you'll do another combat jiu-jitsu?
We'll see, because, I'm heading overseas, as you know. But, we'll see if, because I did get offered that, but I'm overseas while that's on in March, I believe, but I'll be overseas, so I can't do that.
Nah, fair enough. And what was that like?
It's fun. Like, it's different. It's different to regular jiu-jitsu, because with that, I was going for leg locks, but they can just palm you, they can just slap you. So it's not pure jiu-jitsu, but it's like you have to think about it like MMA / jiu-jitsu. And it is a weird feeling, because it's like you're not safe in safe positions that you would be in jiu-jitsu, if you understand.
Yeah,
like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
And how would you compare that to an MMA fight? Obviously, you've had quite a few MMA fights as well.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think's tougher?
Definitely MMA fights are tougher. Combat jiu-jitsu, it's more of a chill kind of vibe doing it. Like, it isn't chill, but it is at the same time.
In the head.
Yeah.
Real chill.
Yeah. Nah, it's just like in MMA, they focus more on, obviously, ground and pound striking. In combat jiu-jitsu, they're more into jiu-jitsu, I'd say, so they're more thinking about the submission more than striking. In MMA, they're thinking about striking more than the submission. Obviously, vice versa, if you have a submission in MMA, you'd go for it. In combat jiu-jitsu, if you have a submission, they're definitely going to go for it, because they're a grappler.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. And is there any sort of concepts that you took from MMA fights that you then applied into the combat jiu-jitsu?
I couldn't really. Well, I haven't done the combat jiu-jitsu, so I really had to wrap my head around it. I didn't really understand what the go would be, but now with the concept that I have, I wouldn't go for leg locks that aren't essentially 100% there. Because I remember I was going for leg locks on my opponent, and he was just palming me, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's something I really have to work on. If I know I have the leg lock there, I'll rip it on. Otherwise, you have to be careful with like going for inversions and everything in combat jiu-jitsu.
So would you say that you try to stay on top in the same way that you typically would in MMA?
Definitely, yes, in combat jiu-jitsu. Because if you're in their guard, you can just slap them. But that's the thing. If it's just jiu-jitsu, guard is good, because you can go for submissions and all that. If you're in combat jiu-jitsu, they can just start slapping you from when you're in your guard. So yeah, I'd stay on top in combat.
No, interesting. And you're not the only one on the M16 card. Lockie is also competing on it.
Lockie Mendoza, yeah.
Yeah, how good's it been to have him on the team and you guys sort of working together to get ready for that?
It's been awesome. Me and him have just been having big scrambles. Like, the thing is, he's only 17 blue belt, but he is talented, and I'll tell you, talented. Like, he gives me a run for his money. He's awesome. He literally says he's going to hit a submission, and he hits it. At AGL, he said he's going to hit a flying helicopter armbar. He hits it. He's one of them special people that can just do what they do, and I know he's going to smash it at M16. He's big, first ever super fight, so but he's essential in the team.
And you mentioned the helicopter armbar. He seems to just always pull flying stuff out.
Yeah, that's what he does. He just loves it. He loves it.
Yeah.
He absolutely pulls out anything from his pocket. It's like far out. And he's only, what is he like? I don't even know how much he weighs, but it's so much lighter than me, and he gives me a run for his money, as for my money, as I say. And yeah, he's just insane. He's very talented. Been doing it since he was a kid.
So you said you've been having lots of scrambles. Is there any sort of training that you're focusing on for a fight like this? You're not competing multiple times in one day. It's just one match. How do you
Yeah.
prepare for that?
For that, we literally just start obviously standing up wrestling. But it's just the thing is you can't tell what is going to happen in the match. There's no game plan. It's only working on what happens in the scramble, and we can start from a bad position if we want. But it's really just going hard, sparring just for 8 minutes, 7 minutes of just pure rolling. Scrambles happen, keep going. There's no specific spot to work on because yeah.
And what do you think about shark tanking in preparation for a comp?
Shark tanking, definitely good. That's good for any sort of sport. Shark tanking, obviously, fresh opponent, you have to defend yourself, or they come in and you get the takedown, you have to keep them, stay on top, but you're more gassed than your opponent. But it's just conditioning you for the comp. Plus, if you're doing that to your opponent in the competition, they're going to be the same amount of fatigue as you. Depends on their fitness, but definitely essential to Shark Tank.
So you've been doing it for a while. What advice would you have for people that are just getting into jiu-jitsu?
Just stick to it. It sucks. It sucks. And you'll be gassed after 3 minutes of rolling and you're versing a high level person. They're not going to look gassed at all. They're just going to be plain face. You're going to be tired, wondering how they get in this position, trying to just scramble, just white belt spaz. But you just got to breathe and just relax and know that it's not their first time, it's your first time. But honestly, just stick through it and it's worth it.
And what sort of things should you work on when you start? Should you be focusing on subs or sweeps or escapes or?
Fundamentals, hip escapes, just getting the fundamental moves. I do that every time I do a PT or teach someone new. First thing is hip escapes, forward hip escapes, and then I show them why we do a hip escape, a shrimp. Hip escape is shrimp. If they're inside control, you shrimp out and then you block with your knee shield, get back to guard, retain guard, and then just find the fundamental position. Side control, back mount, half guard, full, quarter guard, everything. So just all the fundamental things.
And you mentioned teaching there. Is that something you see in your future?
Yeah, definitely. I love doing it. I love teaching just all jiu-jitsu, all ages. It is obviously the age bracket is a bit more difficult if there's kids and adults in the same class. It is hard to actually find the perfect medium because, how kids need more attention, adults kind of understand it more. But I definitely, I just love teaching it.
And how do you tackle that? If you've got people in a class, not just kids and adults, but say you've got, a bunch of white belts, bunch of purple belts, bunch of brown belts, how do you teach something that's applicable across the board?
So mostly you have to go for the lower rank. So if it's new people there, they're not going to be able to just do a umplata into a triangle straight away. They're not going to do that. So you work on the fundamentals of the umplata first. So if you want to do an umplata, because that's one of the basic moves, I'll say basic, but yeah, the basic moves.
One of your favourites, that one. That's the Lewis special.
Yeah. So you just work on how to get into the position, working on it. And if the higher belts want to add the triangle, and you can say higher belts, you can do a triangle after. If they defend, you can forward roll, get into the armbar. You just let them do what they do. We're just trying to teach the white belts. Obviously, trying to make it good for the higher belts too, adding on things for them.
And do you think it's still important to practice those fundamentals as you get up higher in the belts?
Yeah, 100%. Always fundamentals, definitely, because there's always something you can fix. Always something. I've had it a few times, and there's light bulb moments. That's something I can just tiny bit fix that a tiny bit, fine tune it, and it just makes the sub even better. Fixing the gap. If you've got space between your opponent, get closer, and you just keep that distance lower. So white belt might keep a lot of distance, as I said. Then blue belt gets lower. Purple belt understands something else, so he does something else, gets lower, and then it just so on.
And before you were saying that you're pretty wrestling focused, do you think everyone should learn to wrestle when they do jiu-jitsu?
Yes, but it's wrestling and, as I said, everyone's game is different, but 100% wrestling, even judo. Wrestling and judo, you should learn some judo throws, learn some wrestling throws, because it is essential in jiu-jitsu.
And I know some people just sort of seem a bit intimidated from doing judo and wrestling. Do you have any advice for people when they first start out in that?
Starting out in that, just honestly, it's just like starting everything. Just get into it. There's nothing to really tell them. You just have to start, like, get into it, and that's it. Like jiu-jitsu or MMA, you just walk into the gym, just face your fears.
How long have you been training at Mudra martial arts?
So I believe, 8 years old. Now I'm 24, so I can't really do math. That's why I just get hit in the head and roll. But yeah, for a while now. But when I was 16, I done kids karate from 8 till I was 16, I reckon, and then I really got into MMA and jiu-jitsu when I was 16 onwards. Now I'm 24, so almost 25. So done it for a while now. So that's all I really know, to be honest.
And outside of jiu-jitsu, do you think you're going to continue with MMA?
I have to see with that. When I'm going overseas, we'll see if there's any opportunities that come my way. But I've just honestly fallen deeply in love with jiu-jitsu. Like, I love human chess. Like, it's just I reckon it's the truest art form of martial arts. Like, the thing that you think about, you do. Like, the moves work like all the time. Obviously, if they defend, it ends to a scramble or something else. But when you do the move, you know it's going to end up in this position and work. So I just love it.
And what do you think it is that draws people to jiu-jitsu?
Uh, Personality and just, I don't know, maybe watching the UFC and getting hyped up. Like, yeah, I want to learn this stuff. It's just like the challenge, the personal challenge, and it's only up to you. There's no other person. Obviously, your opponent, but at the end of the day, I love it because you can't blame anyone else but yourself. If you lose a match, if you get subbed, you can only get better.
No, that's true. And, in your MMA career, I've seen you've cut some serious weight. Do you prefer doing jiu-jitsu because you don't have to cut all the weight?
Yeah, that too. That's a bit why.
Well, talk to me about your last fight, because I remember you just cutting an obscene amount of weight, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so that one was the hardest cut I've done, I reckon. So I was heading to Colombia actually to see my family, and I got the call up that there was a title fight shot, 70 kilos lightweight for demolition. So I'm like, oh, I'm heading to Colombia, like, thinking about it, but I knew I would do it. So I said yes to it. So I started cutting weight while I was here, and then heading to Colombia.
And what was
Colombia,
your start weight?
86. So
Damn.
yeah, and I had to cut to 70 kilos. So went to Colombia, and it was awesome over there. Training over there as well. Done some jiu-jitsu at Affinity jiu-jitsu club, and just trained a few times. Went for runs. Just obviously watching what I ate, because it was pretty much healthy food over there, to be honest. So it was pretty lucky, but there was some good bread and cheese over there too. But yeah, then I think I lost like 4 kilos over there, because naturally walking around everywhere, you're just sightseeing, doing all this stuff. Come back, and then I got into my diet. So I think I was 82 kilos when I got back to Australia. And I just started, obviously training, dieting hard. And it was like 2 months and 3 weeks, I lost the 16 kilos. It was hard. So I got water poisoning as well in the last week. So don't do that. Don't drink too much water. But I was fine after that. So it was, definitely a hard cut, but worth it just doing the fight.
So when you say water poisoning, for the people that don't know, what is that and what does that feel like?
So I didn't know what it was. The funny thing is, someone actually mentioned it to me like a week before I actually got it. I'm like, oh, is that a real thing? Anyway, so I'm just drinking my 7 liters of water. You have to drink like 7 liters, 7 liters, 7 liters, 3.5, 1.5 for the last week to like pee it all out, sweat all the water out in the last 2 days. So I done that. I was drinking my second day. It was Tuesday. It was my 7 liters, and I like sculled like 2 liters within an hour. Like, I was just like, oh, I have to finish it before I go to bed. Don't do that, by the way. So I finished it, and then I started getting the real like tight feeling in my brain, and then I started feeling drunk. Like, you feel it's really weird. Like, you feel a bit off and like just weird, and then you just get dizzy, and you just feel like tightness in the head. And I'm just like, I was like, this is what water poisoning is. So I had to go to the
Wow.
hospital, just make sure I was all good. I was fine, luckily. So got to the hospital, waited there for like 15 minutes. Then I started feeling better, but I checked with the doctor anyway. They're like, nah, you're all good. Blood's all good. I think something low, very low, but I don't care really.
Don't worry about
Um,
it.
anyway, I was feeling fine, so I'm like, all right, that's all good. I'll just go home and sleep it off, and yeah. So you just feel drunk and the tightness in the head. That's all I felt.
Yeah. And in terms of saunas and sweating it out, what did you do for that?
So I like to go at least. I love the bath. The bath is my favorite, like bathing, because I sweat a lot easier in the bath. But saunas, 15, 10 minutes in, 5 minutes out. Same thing, in, out, not having any salt or water. You're just doing that for a long time. And then when I couldn't sweat anymore in the sauna, like I was dry, I was like a sultana. I couldn't do anything, nothing anymore. I started going in the bath, so I got all the boys to bring the movable bath, like I forget what it was. My coach has it. Anyway, we put the shower on. I'm in the water, and I'm just dying. I just want to get out. My body's fighting me to get out, and I'm just trying to stay in, losing all that weight. Anyway, get on the scale, and I'm like 0.3 or 0.6 over, zero point 0.6 grams over. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like far out. I had to hop in there one more time. And then I was almost passing out, just getting out the tub. But, you know, that's how it is. And got out, and then I finally weighed myself, and I was, just under. So I was just, like, relieved and very tired and thirsty.
Would you ever do it again?
That big of a cut, no, or it's too dangerous. No, it's because it was a title fight that made me push and push. But, no, it's very dangerous on yourself, on the body.
And do you think people should cut weight at all for jiu-jitsu, or is it more that you just go in at your natural weight?
Natural weight for jiu-jitsu. You can do a few kilos if you want, like 5, I reckon, 4 kilos, but you shouldn't do that much weight, like for jiu-jitsu, especially if it's same day weigh-in. There's no way. That's dangerous. So yeah.
And obviously that sounds like a pretty tough camp. How would you compare an MMA camp to a jiu-jitsu camp?
MMA camp is brutal, nothing fun about it. You hate every second of it, and it's like, when am I going to finish this and get in the cage and have fun? Like, that's but it is good because you're so fit at the same time. Jiu-jitsu, you're just rolling, you're just like, I don't know, it is easier in a sense, like you're just rolling and just going for subs. Obviously you can cut weight, but it's more enjoyable because you're just doing what I love the most, which is rolling, subbing, and just cutting a bit of weight, just a bit.
And not cutting 16 kilos and getting
no, not 16.
Yeah, no, that's good. So what do you see your future in jiu-jitsu and martial arts being like?
I see it. I will be coaching. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. I just go with the flow, see if I compete and get better and better, and hopefully I do. That's my goal, just to try and aim for the stars. Really, it'd be good to be on CJI, but obviously that's a long time away if I ever do. But that's just a dream. Just keep working hard and just go from there. And obviously, I'll always be a coach and just like helping people. I love coaching.
So you see yourself doing jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life?
Yeah. You can do it when you're like 100. That's all right.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that's a bit of an advantage with jiu-jitsu as opposed to like boxing or MMA?
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's longevity, and the thing is, there's intensities. You can just say, I'm just doing a light roll. Never ends up light roll though.
A light roll? I haven't heard that term before.
Yeah, light roll, or you just like regular, or you can like spar, like you can go hard, hit subs, but it's just longevity. It's not really too bad for your body unless you don't tap and something happens.
And do you do anything to ensure longevity, or are you just young and you don't really...
I'm just young at the moment, so I try to stretch, but I'm just young at the moment. I know I'll regret it, so I do honestly try to stretch, but I'm just all good to go just from the get-go.
And being in the game for so long, how have you seen jiu-jitsu change?
I've seen it change as in leg locks have come, like that's the main thing now, and side control's just irrelevant now. You can just like stand up, It's
Buggy choke him straight out.
Yeah, buggy choke. Yeah. It's just like far out. So many things have changed, and there's just more things getting introduced in the leg locks. Like there's just little tweaks, and it's more over about legs now. Like instead, there's top pressure, but legs are like more the mainstream now.
Mm-hmm. And when you first started, what sort of things were you learning, as a young'un?
As I said, fundamentals, arm bars, just top pressure, just passing guard, and just back mount, just all the fundamentals, hip escapes, forward hip escapes, just fundamentals.
And when you first started, how many people do you reckon there were doing it?
That's hard. I think it's this. I reckon around the same amount of people, maybe less. Like I honestly can't remember. It was so long ago. I think it would be. It's just different demographics. Like there's way more kids now. Definitely way more kids than adults.
Mm.
It used to just be adults, like only adults. There was only probably two kids, one kid doing the class. Now it's like 50-50, or there's actually more kids now. So it's actually aimed more towards kids. I reckon.
And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think you're getting more kids coming?
It's just growing. It's honestly a fast growing sport. It's growing more and more, and I think like parents just want their kids to do something, and this is like a unique thing for them to do. It's way more popular. It's just like a kid doing any sport, and they can just choose. A kid might be into it. He might see something online and say, "Yeah, I want to give that a go." The parents might give it a go. Parents might see it online because it's way like technology now. You can see everything. They'd be like, "Yeah, it's good for self defense as well." Even if women see it, they want to do it for self defense. Like it's just more advertised, I reckon, overall.
No, definitely. Is there anyone you said you wanted to compete at CJI one day? Is there
Yeah.
any world class athletes at the moment that you sort of look up to, that you model your style on, or that you just enjoy watching?
Enjoy watching Mika Galval. I love Mika Galval. I just remember him hitting all these awesome subs. He's dominating everyone. He gets these awesome like ankle picks, trips, yeah, arm bars. He just does. He's just explosive and just jumps around, which I like to do. I like to do all that stuff and just yeah.
He kind
I
of looks
just
like he could be your brother as well, actually. You guys got a bit of a resemblance going.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. He probably is.
yeah. Well, he got that one on J Rod, didn't he? Where he literally just dropped down and threw him back over his head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. He's a
So
freak. What
he
about in
is
terms of leg locking? Who should people look to if they want to learn some leg locking?
leg locking. Oh, I actually like so Levi Jones Leary. He was on CJI. He was at Absolute. I didn't get to roll with him, but I was just there watching him. And yeah, I went to the Joseph Chen seminar too. It was sick. But Levi Jones Leary. There's a lot like Lachlan Giles. Like I remember like just seeing him with his K guard. So I started doing a K guard without knowing what it was, and then I seen Lachlan Giles instructional on it. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing. And then watching it, just understanding he knows like pinpoint of exactly what to do with the legs, and it's Lachlan Giles and Levi Jones Leary. I reckon are awesome for legs. Obviously, there's so many more good leg lockers, but they're just the ones that I've looked at the most.
Yeah, and they're Aussies as well, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You said you had a seminar with Joseph Chen the other day. How was that?
So sick. It's like just seeing him in person. It's like starstruck. It's like sick. Obviously, I didn't say anything. I was just So it was mostly just like really focusing on guard passing. Like we didn't even pass the guard until the very end. We were just focusing on the fundamental little ticks and details of the actual getting into the positions and passing. Like it was very in depth, more in depth than I've ever seen of anything. And then showed his like famous like butterfly step over to mount, and yeah, it was really cool. Then we just had rolls at the end, and I got to roll with him. Obviously, he was taking it so easy on me, but it was just awesome. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, what was it like? How did he roll?
Good. No, he was awesome. He was rolling really light, but like he just obviously could stay on top and do whatever he wanted to me. And I was just there trying to defend the whole time on bottom. And yeah, he just defended everything so smoothly, like as he would, because he's so high level.
And was there anything that you took in particular from that seminar that you might put into your own game?
More, yeah, the passing. Well, obviously the passing, but there's a specific pass like holding on, getting your elbow tight into their hip, and then hands on the rib, and their knee cut is around their knees around your gut. Sorry, and then you just grab their head and you cradle their head. You pull their head because it's actually hard for them to keep their knee up. It really hurts their neck. So I just like to do that specific move, and then you can start the pass, switch hip, pass the side control. But yeah, he can obviously tell you that in depth. I'm just
I'm getting a free seminar.
yeah.
No, it was cool. We had Dima come in
Oh
the
yeah,
other day,
true.
and
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
he was teaching like passing the butterfly guard, and just
yeah,
like the depth of knowledge that these people have is
yeah.
unbelievable.
It's insane, and they do it every day. Yeah, it's
Mm.
sick.
So would you travel overseas to learn as well?
100%. Yeah, I'd like. I would. I really would like to just learn. Oh, well, Craig Jones, obviously. Um, just all the high level people. I'd love to travel overseas and learn. Obviously, you just need the money, but
Mm.
hopefully that'll come.
Well, soon you'll be teaching your own seminars, and then you can travel around. And they'll pay your
That's the
flights for
dream.
it.
That's the dream.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, any sort of last points about your M16 fight coming up?
Last point. I'm just gonna try and smash it.
Yeah.
That's all I go in. I just go in with a mindset of trying to just smash it. Go in hard or go home. You know, there's no. It's only one round, 1 7 or 8 minute round. I forget how long it is, but you just go in, just try and smash it. There's no specific thing I'm working on. I reckon just leg locks. There's no specific leg lock. It's just leg locks that I want to work on my opponent.
Mm-hmm. So can people expect some big scrambles?
Oh, definitely, definitely. There'll be big scrambles.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the rest of the card, who's going to be on there? Like who's headlining it, and where can people see it?
So it's on the M16 YouTube. You can see it live stream for free. So obviously Lockie Mendoza, my teammates, on there in the undercard. We have a few of the boys I train with that are really, really talented in leg locks from Armour on the card as well. We have Luke Marco, who's a big name in Adelaide now, on the card fighting. I forget his opponent. We have Nick Hughes, who I've been to Matt Lab. He's a coach over there. He's fighting, I believe, for a title on the card too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just I can't think of it on the top of my head, but yeah, there's I can't remember his name. No, can't remember it. But yeah, he's a big name, but I forget. But yeah, there's a few big names on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when is this?
When is it? It's on the 15th of February. So 14th of February is weigh-ins for the main card for Valentine's Day, and then 15th is the weigh-in for undercards, and the fights start like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's when it'll start.
And is it on YouTube or is it pay-per-view?
Yeah, M16 open on YouTube. The live stream will be.